The 10 most badass American muscle cars. American muscle cars have remained iconic, with some fetching millions at auctions, like the 1962 Shelby Cobra CSX 2000 for $13.75 million, while emissions and regulations tamed them in the 80s. These powerful machines still pack impressive horsepower and plenty of badassery. 1966 Plymouth Barracuda. The Barracuda is a badass day's ride with the ability to go from 0 to 60 in less than 10 seconds thanks to its 235 HP engine. Although there are quite a few first-generation muscle cars that are difficult to get a hold of now, the 66 Barracuda isn't one of them. The first-gen Barracuda can be obtained with relative ease. Barracudas are distinctive in appearance thanks to their heavy, low profiles and the massive rear window that lends a futuristic look to this classic. First-gen Barracudas were modified versions of the Plymouth Valiant. Sometimes they were even referred to as Valiant Barracudas, and had weaker engines, for a muscle car at least, that ran on less than 150 HP. 1966 Shelby GT350, the legendary 1965 Mustang. Shelby GT350 was a serious high-performance machine. In fact, some buyers that very first year felt these cars were a little too hardcore, and at the same time Shelby was on a rampage to cut costs. So, for 1966, Shelby replaced, deleted, or made optional some of the car's signature high-performance features like the adjustable Coney shocks, the fiberglass hood, free-flowing and loud side exhaust outlets, and that fully locking Detroit locker rear differential. 1968 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. The first 2 years of Carroll Shelby's Mustangs are the most desirable to many Mustang purists. Those 1965 and 1966 GT350s were light, simply styled, and perfect for track work. But the later 1960s to 1968 cars offered more fun under the hood and were the machines of choice if you wanted to win drag races. For the first time, 67 to 68 GT500 Shelbys came with 355 HP, 428 cubic inch big block power under the hood. Car testers of the day saw quarter-mile time slips in the mid to low 14-second bracket, quick for the day. The Shelby Mustangs received more scoops and flashier styling than the older cars to match the newfound power and torque. And the even quicker KR, King of the Road high-performance model, was available in 1968 too. Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat Red-Eye. In its day, this beast was the most powerful Dodge Challenger ever made. The base 2020 model, pictured, would set you back about $70,000 to start. Dodge introduced the Challenger in 1969, with Hellcat being introduced much later in 2015. The Red-Eye packs a powerful punch, able to breeze through the quarter mile in 10.8 seconds. And when we say powerful, we mean powerful. The Red-Eye weighs in at a whopping 4,514 pounds, but is still able to haul ass, thanks to a 787 HP V8 engine. The best part? You get the gorgeous look of a classic car with modern amenities and features we know and love. 1969 Dodge Super B A12. The Super B was essentially a high-performance version of the Dodge Coronet. In 1968, the B came standard with a 383 Ci V8, or the legendary monster 4226 Ci Hemi. But halfway through the 1969 model year, Dodge made the 440 Ci six-pack, 3 two-barrel carburetors available. Known internally as option code A12, it wore a matte black lift-off fiberglass hood with a massive forward-facing scoop. The A12 Super B produced 390 HP and a ridiculously potent 490 lb-ft of torque. And that happened to be same torque spec as the Hemi. So you received nearly the same thrust in a more streetable package and at a lower price too. 1969, 1971, Baldwin Motion Phase through GT Corvette. Baldwin Motion was the first Corvette tuner, and the machines that company created were legendary. Baldwin Chevrolet, a dealer in Baldwin, New York, would deliver new Corvettes to Joel Rosen's Motion Performance Speed Shop down the road for modifications. Motion would build these serial production specialty Corvettes to order. It was Rosen's dream in late 1968 to build a new, fast, and functional all-American GT sports car. The sensuously styled Phase 3 GT was a stunner. It had a unique fastback rear window, a performance suspension, and as much as 600 dyno-tuned horsepower from either a 427 Ci or 454 Ci big block V8s. Although one Motion Vet did receive a smaller LT1 spec 350 Ci V8. 1969, AMX-3. The AMX-3 was a stunningly cool, mid-engined exotic. Its development was an international collaborative effort between an AMC team led by Dick Teague, head of design, Eitel Design, Italian engineer Giotto Bizzarini, and even some work was done by BMW. The 300-pound sports car was powered by an AMC 390 Ci V8 that packed 340 HP and was backed by a 4-speed manual. It could reportedly accelerate to 60 mph in just over 5 seconds and top 170 mph, solid numbers for the time. But the machine never officially made it to AMC showrooms, in part because of cost. It would have required a sticker price reportedly close to $15,000 and just a few $1,000s shy of Lamborghini's Miura. 1984, Chevy Corvette. The third generation of America's sports car, the Corvette, had an incredibly long run, 1968 to 1982. So when it came time for GM to launch the next generation C4 Corvette, there was wild speculation about the car. Some predicted it would use a mid-engine chassis, like an Italian exotic, and others thought it might use a rotary engine, like Mazda's. In the end, the next Corvette wasn't radical. It still had a small block Chevy V8 up front, driving the rear wheels. That first year, it cranked out a meager 205 HP. But after a switch to a new, tuned port fuel injection system in later years, horsepower jumped, and so did performance. 5 years later, Chevy debuted the first ultra-performance Corvette since the 1960s, the 375 HP ZZR1. 1969, Dodge Charger Daytona. The 1969 Dodge Daytona and its sibling, the 1970 Plymouth Superbird, are arguably the most radical vehicles to emerge from the muscle car wars. But the Daytona, as the name might suggest, wasn't designed for street racing. It was built to win NASCAR races on the superspeedways, the longest and fastest tracks. From the archives, the fastest county in America. To increase top speed, engineers took the Charger to the wind tunnel. The aerodynamic modifications to the Big Dodge included a nearly 2-foot-tall rear wing, a flush rear window, and a longer sloped nose cone. The results were impressive. The race version of the Daytona became the first car in NASCAR history to break 200 mph. After numerous Dodge wins in 1969 and some by Plymouth in 1970, NASCAR's new rulebook banned these cars. The production cars, which came packing a 440 big block, or the legendary 426 Hemi, are sought-after collector cars today that bring more than $150,000 at our auctions. 1965, Pontiac Catalina 2+2. The high-performance GTO version of Pontiac's Tempest is regarded in many circles as the original muscle car, and it added some serious heat to the automaker's lineup for 1964. The following year, Pontiac decided to work that same magic on its bigger cars by dropping a 338 421 Ci V8 into the all-new big-body Catalina to create the 2+2 performance model. It was a terrible name, but a beastly machine, especially if you spent a few more bucks and upgraded to the 421HO, which made 376 HP. The 2+2 famously used wide, 8-lug hubs and included a beefier suspension, bucket seats, a Hurst shifter, and special badging.